agrarian. So, this agrarian relation in Mughal period were fundamentally different from those in the stable heartland of North India. This these they used to be known as Japti province. So there were three main regions. First one is late and incomplete conquest. So what happened? That the Mughals only fully annexed the Deccani Sultanate like Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda late in their rule, primarily under Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Then the second reason is pre-existing systems. Pre-existing systems. So the Deccan had its own deeply entrenched centuries relationship. Yeah, so this pre-existing, yes. So this Deccan had its own deeply entrenched centuries old tradition of land right and administration, which the Mughal could not easily replace. Then third was the Maratha factor. So we are talking about agrarian relations in Deccan during the Mughal period. So this Maratha factor, actually the rise of the Marathas created a parallel, often conflicting power structure that competed directly with the Mughals for the agricultural surplus. So this resulted in a complex, unstable and layered system of agrarian relationship. Now let's talk about the key players in agrarian hierarchy. So anybody any idea about who were the key players in this hierarchy? Any idea? Anyone any idea? कुछ तो आइडिया होगा आप लोगों को. So the state and first one is Jagirdar. Who were the Jagirdars? Arushi, tell me who were the Jagirdars?
So, under Mughals, there was a Jagirdari system where they used to grant Jagirs to certain peoples. So, they own that Jagirs, these
Okay.
Jagirdars.
The state and the Mughal nobility. So the first one is Jagidar. So the Mughal tried to impose their Jagidari system. Land was divided into two. So first one is Khalisha. What is the meaning of this? Crown land, where revenue went directly to the imperial treasury. Second was the Jagir, land assigned to nobles. Mansabdars, in lieu of cash salary. All right. Now the problem. So Mughal Jagirdars in the Deccan were often non-local, and their Jagirs were transferable. So transferable Jagir used to be known as Tankhwa Jagir. Knowing they could be moved at any time, they had no long-term interest in the land productivity. Their primary goal was to extract the maximum possible revenue in the shortest possible time. Second, we talk about Deccani aristocracy. The button holders. This is the most crucial element of Deccan system. These were local hereditary elites who held Batan. Batan means, what is the meaning of Batan? Arushi, what is the meaning of Batan?
Area, heritage, so certain like land rights.
Hereditary rights. So they were Deshmukh and Deshpande. They were the equivalent of North Indian Jamindars, but with much stronger hereditary claims. They were the lords of the land in their paragnas. Paragnas means district. Role. If we talk about their role, they were responsible for revenue collection, maintaining law and order, and raising troop. So, lords of the land, then revenue collection, maintaining law and order, and raising troops. So if we talk about the class, the Mughals could not remove them. Instead they tried to co-opt them, forcing them into Mansabdari system. However, the Deshmukh's loyalty was always divided. Now the second is Patil or Mukaddam. The Blaze Headman. The Blaze Headman. This was also a hereditary button post role. If we talk about the role, Patil was the primary link between the state or Jagidar and the peasant. He managed village affairs, allocated land, and he was responsible for collecting the village revenue. He received customary dues and tax free lands for his service. Next is Kulkarni, the Blaze accountant. Also a hereditary button holder who maintained the all important land record. Next, we talk about peasantry, riot. The peasantry was not a uniform group, it was highly stratified. So, first one is Mirasdar or Miras. Who were these people? The privileged original landholding peasants. If we talk about their status, they were the established member of the village community and could not be evicted as long as they paid the revenue. They often had their own patil from their lineage. If we talk about rights, they had a hereditary rights also called miras to their land. The right was sellable and heritable. बेच भी सकते थे एंड उसको रख भी सकते थे. Uparis. Who were these people?
So they were opposite of Mirastar. Like they were having non-hereditary rights.
Okay, so can I call them Uparis? So basically, these Uparis were the tenant farmers. Rights. They had no hereditary rights and were essentially tenants at will. Status. They were often migrant or landless laborers who cultivated the land of Mirasdar or Patils or were settled on abandoned lands by the state. Their position was far more precarious. If we talk about court conflict and dynamics, then the relation were defined by the friction between these groups. So first of all, we'll talk about Jagirdar versus Deshmukh. That means Mughal versus Deccan. This was the central conflict. The Mughal Jagidar was an outsider with a temporary assignment. The Deccani Deshmukh was a local hereditary lord. The Jagidar needed the Deshmukh to collect the revenue, but the Deshmukh constantly tried to hide the true amount of revenue and pass on as little as possible. This led to constant suspicion, negotiation, and often open conflict. Second is the Maratha intervention, a dual system. The Marathas, who were often Vatan holders, Deshmukh and Patils themselves exploited this conflict. They established a rival system of revenue collection over vast areas of Mughal Deccan. Chauth. Chauth means literally one fourth. The Marathas demanded 25% of the revenue from a village or paragna in exchange for protection, that is, promising not to raid it themselves. Sardeshmukhi, an additional 10% tax which Shivaji claimed as hereditary head Deshmukh for all the Deccan. Head Deshmukh means Sardeshmukhi. Now, if we talk about the impact on the peasants were crushed under the triple burden. First, he had to pay the Mughal land revenue, that is MAL, to the Jagirdar via the Deshmukh. Then he had to pay the local dues to the Patil and Deshmukh, and he had to pay Chauth and Sardeshmukhi to Marathas to prevent them from destroying his crops. So this system was devastating. If the peasant paid the Mughals, the Marathas attacked. If he paid the Marathas, the Mughal Faujdar attacked. So you can understand कि कितनी हालत ख़राब थी उस टाइम पर. Now let's talk about a new topic, that is hybrid vehicles, जो अगले एक क्वेश्चन में है. So basically, it is one of that hybrid vehicle is one that uses two or more distinct power sources to move. Two or more distinct power sources to move. The most common type is gasoline, electric, hybrid, which combines a traditional internal combustion engine, that is ICE, with an electric motor and a battery. The goal is to blend the strength of both, resulting in a vehicle that is more fuel efficient and produce fewer emissions than a conventional gasoline only car. So let's talk about how does it work. Hybrid cars automatically switch between the electric motor and the gas engine or use both simultaneously to maximize efficiency. So first one is at low speed, that is city driving. The car often run on the electric motor alone using power from the battery. That is why hybrids are quiet and zero fuel in stop and go traffic. Then during acceleration, both the gasoline engine and the electric motor work together to provide the power needed for acceleration. Third one is at high speed, during that is cruising. The gasoline engine does most of the work as it's most efficient at a steady high speed. It may also simultaneously charge the battery. Then regenerative braking. This is the key to a hybrid efficiency. When you brake or coast, the electric motor reverses and acts as generators. It captures the car's kinetic energy, which is normally lost as heat in regular brakes, and uses it to recharge the battery. Now let's talk about types of hybrid vehicles. So not all hybrids are the same. They are classified based on how they combine the two power sources and how they are charged. So first one is full hybrid. It is also known as HEV. So this is the most common type, often just called a hybrid. Now how it works, it can run on the electric motor alone for short distance like 1 2 kilometer and the gas engine alone, or both. Charging, it is self-charging, you never plug it in. The battery is charged only by the gasoline engine and by regenerative braking. If I give you some example, then Toyota Urban Cruiser is one of the example. Then second one is PHEV, plug-in hybrid. So what happens? This type offers the best of both worlds. How it works? It has a much large battery than a full hybrid. It can be driven in an electric only mode for significantly distance, typically 30 to 60 km before the gas engine needs to turn on. After the electric range is depleted, it operates just like a full hybrid. Charging, it can plug into an electrical outlet to recharge the battery like a full EV. It also self-charges via regenerative braking. Example, Mercedes Benz, BMW, Volvo. And the next one is mild hybrid, MHEV. How it works? The electric motor is small and cannot power the car on its own function. It only job is to assist the gasoline engine during acceleration to reduce strain and save a small amount of fuel. It also runs the car's electronics when the engine stops at a red light. Idle, stop, start. Charging, self-charging. Example, Maruti Suzuki smart hybrid. Now if we talk about advantage and disadvantage, so first one is better fuel efficiency. I'm talking about advantage. This is the primary benefit. They consume significantly less fuel than their gas only counterparts, and especially in city driving, lower emission. Burning less fuel means fewer greenhouse gas and other pollutant emissions. No range anxiety. Unlike a fully electric car, you don't need to worry about the battery dying. If the battery is depleted, the gasoline engine takes over and you can refuel at any gas station. Quiet operation. They are virtually silent when running on electric power. Next, if we talk about the disadvantage, then higher initial cost. The complex technology makes hybrids more expensive to buy than conventional cars. Complexity, having two power system can mean more complex and potentially costly repairs, though many hybrids like the Prius have proven to be extremely reliable. Battery issues, the battery is heavy, takes up space and will degrade over time. A replacement battery can be very expensive. Environment impact of batteries, the mining of lithium, cobalt and other rare earth metals for the batteries has its own significant environmental and ethical cost. So this is all about the hybrid vehicles that I want to discuss. All right. So tomorrow we'll discuss something else. We are done for the day. Tomorrow